Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Reddit Reads. In this episode we're going to be going over some interesting ghost and paranormal stories. So if you guys like what you hear and you want more episodes, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Do hearse, funeral cars, get haunted hold lingering spirits? I've been thinking about buying a used hearse from auction and converting it into a camper van. I like the idea of something with a lower profile than a van, but still having more headspace and a flat roof. Honestly, a hearse would be perfect. My only hesitation is the possibility of it being a bit haunted. I've gone back and forth on this for a while now, so I'm curious what Reddit has to say. Obviously, hearses carry a lot of dead people, and it happens before their bodies are put to rest, so high exposure to potential spirits. But on the other hand, I'm going to assume that the hearse transporting these spirits holds no special connection to these people, and is much less likely to be the place these spirits linger. I know ships and railroad cars can get haunted, and I've seen Reddit posts about haunted cars. But I imagine all of those hauntings are due to either tragedy or personal connection, those places. Things? I like the idea of converting something meant to transport the dead into something for living in, but I also don't want to be little spooned by a rando ghost when I'm solo traveling. What do you all think? Is it worth the risk?
No, because nobody dies in a hearse.
I grew up in a haunted house and dealt with the murdered souls of a haunted bar, and even this is too extra for me. Just get a Subaru.
You're going to be haunted by how much gas you'll be spending.
No. It's too liminal.
That's my thought too. I'm worried about a spirit. The last minute can't bring themselves to leave the car. Then I get roped in to doing all the cool bucket list type things that spirit needs to move on, 90s movie style. It would be a wacky duo for some good family fun. As a child, did you see a ghost? And nobody believed you. When we were children, our little gang would often play in our back garden. We lived in the ground floor flat. The upstairs flat was empty for a long time. Sometimes we'd see a girl, about 13 years old, watching us from an upstairs window, but then suddenly she was gone. We told our mother, but she just laughed and said it's just a reflection, but we insisted it was a ghost. Years later, I heard about a girl who lived upstairs who died from tuberculosis in the 1930s. She was 13 years old, and she'd often watch children playing in the garden from the window of her bedroom. I told my parents we'd seen her ghost years ago, but they scoffed and said there's no such thing as ghosts. Did you see a ghost when a child? And nobody believed you.
LOL. When I was 3, my family moved into a new home. Very shortly after my dad put an addition on the house. That got activity going that lasted until my parents moved out 35 years later. My dad named the ghost Harry, and he wound up being a huge part of our family. I still wonder if he's there.
I didn't have any paranormal encounters as a child, but my youngest daughter told my wife when she was about 3 or 4 years old that my wife's late father would visit her in her room and told her to tell my wife not to worry, because he was doing fine in the afterlife. Our daughter has no recollection of this now, but my wife remembers vividly our daughter recounting the encounter to her at the time.
Not quite a ghost or a very exciting one, but my great-grandparents used to live right near a beach, and there were around 3 or 4 times I was on the beach, and what I would see was a red light coming from their 3rd-story window in the attic. This, over the course of around a year. My parents would say there's no working lights up there anymore. Not too long after that, I bought some local history books about smugglers and how my area was full of them a couple of 100 years ago. Anyway, just after reading the books, I visited a new local history museum that opened in my village, and I got talking to the guide there, and we talked about smugglers, and he mentioned how houses on the beach were all used by smugglers at one point, and what they would do is put a red lantern in the attack window to let the boats know the coast was clear and it was safe to come ashore. So maybe I saw a smuggler's lamp in that window.
Apparition caught on family photo. Figure was not there. IRL. Around a year ago, I was hiking with my wife and kids in Bunya Mountains National Park in Queensland, Australia. It was the middle of winter, so not really the busy season in the park. We were around 2 hours into a 4-hour hike, and I saw some cool-looking sunlight rays penetrating through the forest canopy, so tried to get a photo. At this stage of the hike, we had only passed 1 or 2 other groups, and had not seen anyone else for at least an hour. The day after our hike, I was looking through the photos with my kids when my daughter asked, "Who's that?" I couldn't see anything in the area of the photograph she was pointing at, so zoomed in and my blood ran cold. This woman in a black dress was not there IRL. We were walking directly to past the point in the image where she appears, and she was 100% not there. Her clothes look very old-fashioned and out of place for the setting. Everyone that I have ever shown the photo to has the same chilled reaction. The worst was when I showed my boss, and she looked sickened and asked which trail it was in the park. I told her, and she looked pale. The year prior, she has visited the park with her family, and her 16-year-old daughter had a panic attack at the same section of the same trail because she could sense something bad watching us, and that there was something evil there. This is apparently very out of character for her. I have no idea what I captured in this photo, but it still gives me a gnawing feeling in my gut whenever I look at it.
People here are dating the dress to Victorian-era styles, but that's too much skin for that era. This is more of a 60s-styled cocktail dress, especially when considering the hairstyle.
Why do her arms look like starfish appendages, LOL?
Just when you think it's safe to squat and pee in a remote part of the woods, you're forever immortalized in a family picture.
Postpartum paranormal experience. Apparently, the deeper I dive into this, it's more common than I thought for women to experience paranormal activity after having a baby. Call it sleep deprivation. Call it postpartum psychosis. Or the paranormal trying to get close to an innocent. Whatever it is. It happened to me. And I would love to hear others' experiences. To preface this, my husband and I live in the house I grew up in. Growing up, I heard voices and footsteps in the middle of the night. But nothing truly scary happened to me growing up. My sister and my mom are different stories. If there was something in the house, it seemed to have liked them the most. My sister claimed to have seen a shadow figure a lot. Interestingly, she used to jokingly call it Alfred, and we ended up finding out that we have a great-great-grandfather named Alfred. Anyways, my sister would have things move around in her room. She would have faces appear in pictures. The scariest for me was when she and I were sitting on her bed talking and everything came flying off the shelves in her closest. Scared us both to death. My mom had a similar experience and also claimed to see a shadow figure. My mom would also hear my sister, or I call out to her frequently when we didn't. My father, who is very religious and doesn't believe in anything paranormal, also heard it. He and my mom were talking in the kitchen, and both stopped when they heard my voice call out for my mom. I was away at a friend's. My mom and sister both claim that whatever it was followed them as they both still see and hear the same things in their new houses. I believed them, because when my husband and I moved in 3 years ago, it was so quiet. Up until we brought our daughter home last fall. I don't know if it's just where I'm up at night now, and I never was before. But I hear voices and footsteps again, often. The first scary thing that started happening was my husband started hearing my voice calling for him. We chalked it up to sleep deprivation. But our daughter started sleeping good at night around 2 months old. She would only get up once, so I started being responsible for night shift so he'd be well rested for work. So when he kept hearing my voice, we thought that was odd. I've personally had 2 chilling experiences where I genuinely felt scared. Once, my daughter was up screaming, inconsolable. I was up, walking back and forth bouncing her when all of a sudden I got chills up my back. My back felt so cold. Then my daughter stopped crying and her eyes focused on something just behind me. I quickly sat myself down in the rocking chair and was paranoid the rest of the night. A couple weeks later, something similar happened. My daughter woke up early. I took her into the living room to feed her. We played for a while, and then I was getting ready to put her down for her first nap. The rocking chair in the living room was set with its back towards my husband and my bedroom door. I sat down in it, and my daughter was fussing. When again, I got a cold chill. My daughter stopped crying and looked just past me. Then the bedroom door, which was completely shut, I heard the knob turn and click, slowly opened. I had chills, but I called out for my husband, hoping he had heard our daughter crying and got up to check on us. I turned around, and nothing. No one. I yelled out for my husband, who was still snoring in bed, and he came running. It scared me so bad we rearranged the living room so the rocking chair is in a corner. I've seen the door open a couple other times, but after that, I don't completely latch it shut anymore, so I can tell myself that the fan, that has been running all night, finally circulated enough air to push the door open. I still hear voices and footsteps at night, but nothing super scary has happened like that since. Anybody else experience paranormal stuff postpartum?
When I was pregnant with my first, I woke to see Jesus standing over my bed, and we communicated telepathically. It was still a dream state, sort of, like how in sleep paralysis you see your room, but it wasn't sleep paralysis. I was raised Catholic, but I wasn't practicing. Postpartum, I did have sleep deprivation hallucinations in the hospital, but I think you'd know if it was that. I did have the phantom crying for at least a year, like you think you hear your baby crying when they're not. But I think that's more akin to like a song getting stuck in your head, or feeling the waves still, even when you're not at the beach anymore. Anyways, maybe it's a passed on loved one, but if it feels scary, I'd maybe do some rituals to cleanse the house like salt or sage, and praying for good beings only.
I had the most intense sleep paralysis episode shortly after having my first baby. It was terrifying, and I saw the images of an endless line of people, hopelessly shuffling into a grey, foggy tunnel. I was afraid to go to sleep for a long time. I have had a few since, but that was the worst.
My pet dog of 15 years passed away 1 week after my baby was born. He was in my home country, and I live abroad. For days after he passed, I could feel him around me. One day, I woke up, and I could feel him lying on top of me. The feeling felt so real, though part of me thought if it was sleep paralysis.
That sounds very unsettling. I have a friend who was postpartum and she saw a black cloud hovering over her side of the bed. Her husband saw it as well. I would urge you to pray to Jesus when these things happen and ask him to remove the spirit from your home.
A thing I can't describe captured on my camera. So yesterday I was taking a walk around downtown Yangon and decided to take a picture of the view. And just right now, I was looking at this picture and saw this weird looking thingy. Could it be like some kind of glitch or some kind of, I don't know, thingy? It is also taken on an iPhone 15.
Clearly it's a monster.
Mothman.
I was thinking praying mantis dude.
It is probably an internal reflection of a lens element of a street light with 2 very bright LEDs.
Yeah, this or possibly a drone.
Alright, you guys, that concludes episode 2 of Reddit Reads. I tried different video styles, so let me know what you guys like and let me know what kind of content you guys want to hear. Well, once again, thanks for watching and look forward to seeing you in the next one.